is you have to use the power of cash. Cash is powerful. Now, we talked about this in the debt lesson. We said in the debt lesson that if you spend cash, it hurts. It registers pain with you. And it causes you to not want to spend it. You carry Uncle Ben around a little while, it's like, Uncle Ben, he's part of the family, right? I don't want to lose you, stay with me. And it hurts, so it makes you stop and think, doesn't it? And that's one of the ways it saves you money, but it is a good negotiating tool, because when you hold up cash is emotional. You just kind of walk around the store. They'll line up behind you, won't they? Going, I'm thinking I want a deal. And the other thing when you're using cash is it's very visual. Now, my wife Sharon, she doesn't like all this stuff. It's too confrontational to her. She's like, you embarrass me. That's just one of the side benefits of doing all this stuff. Cash has immediacy. If I walk up to you and I'm getting ready to buy something and I put down 10 $100 bills and I say, I'm going to make you a $1,000 offer, you're not going to worry about whether my credit card's going to clear. I don't have to talk to my bank or pull my credit bureau report. It's a deal. It's immediate. It's a lock. It's visual, it's emotional, and it is a happening thing. If I lay it down there, I'm going to get a deal. Period. That way. Well, I'm talking to the manager now, at the appliance store. Same thing. I'm trying to buy a television. I'm going into one of these electronic stores, and we all know what they are, and I'm standing there going, I want a deal. Look into my eyes. And he's going, well, Mr. Ramsey, we're a retail establishment. We don't really negotiate here. I said, yeah, well, under what circumstances are there bargains? Well, sometimes, we have an item that's a display item, and we have an open box special, so open a box. I just don't know. I don't know. Are you sure? Because if we don't do a deal here, then I'm going to have to go see if those other people really have the Best Buy. You got to have some fun with this, people. You got to have some fun with it. I remember one time, several years ago, our kids were small and we were busy running around, and I did the unpardonable sin. I forgot Mother's Day. Yeah, you know how bad this is. We go to church and they're handing out roses to all the women. I'm going, what are the roses for? Oh, no. Oh, no. So we're walking up through the parking lot after church with the kids in tow, and I'm going, honey, the kids and I have been talking about your Mother's Day gift, and we've just decided whatever you want, we're just going to go get it right now. And she's like, you forgot, didn't you? So whatever you want, we're going to go get it right now, right? And so she said, I know what I want. She said, we've got that old beat-up washer and dryer that we've had ever since we got married, and it was used when we got it, and we have to kick it to make it run. And she said, I'm sick and tired of that. I want a brand new top-line washer and dryer. And I said, okay, I'm doing it in my mind. I'm going, how bad did that be? It's like $500, $600, $700. It can't be this bad, right? And so we go, and I said, okay, we're going to go down, look at the scratch and dent store. She said, you didn't hear me. I said, brand new. You're going to pay, Bubba. So we go into the store, honestly, truth story, went into the appliance store, and she walks in, and she walks down the aisle past all of the others and walks down to the end and says, I want that one. She had been there before. She had been planning this. I go down there and I look at it. This thing, it makes sandwiches at halftime. Who knew a washer and dryer could be this expensive? I'm looking at it and I put them all together. We sit down with the little guy at the little round table and he's seeing the kids. It's Mother's Day. He knows he's got him one, right? And this is going to be a hard negotiation. This is going to be tough. And he says, he adds it all up, taxes, title, delivery, everything. He's like $1,298 actual dollars. For a washer and dryer. You're kidding me. And he went, no, sir, that's how much it is. And I said, well, actually, I don't have $1,298. But what I do is I have 9 of these. 1, 2, and she kicked me under the table. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I laid 9 of them on the table. said, 9, that's all I can do. And he said, well, I can't do that. And I said, well, who can? He said, well, that would be the manager. I said, talk to the manager. She kicked me again. He walked off. She said, you don't need another seminar story? Buy it. True story, the guy walks back over, he's got his head on down, because I was kind of in pain, so I was kind of snarling. And I think he thought I was snarling at him, and he came back over and he had his head down. He says, I can't do 900. He said, the lowest the manager let me go is 935. Well, now I'm having fun. I'm going, you're going to let me, with all the advertising dollars you put out to get people in here on Mother's Day, you're going to let me walk out the door for 35 bucks? She kicked me again. I said, we'll take it. $12.98 for 935 is not bad, though. Why? Just because we tried. The next of the lucky 7 is understand and use walkaway power. You have to emotionally be able to walk away and not purchase the item. If you are emotionally married to the item, your body language changes, the tilt of your head changes, your vocal cords constrict, the use of words changes, the sentence structure changes, and people can tell you have bought. Even those of you that are not trained sophisticatedly in body language can just watch and go, that one bought. You know what I'm talking about? You can feel it, can't you? And people can feel it. And so when you lose your walkaway power, you lose the ability to negotiate. This is a big deal. You have to keep your emotional distance from the item in order to be able to let them know. They have to be able to feel that they're losing you, and they want to reel you back in as you go through this negotiating process. That is a big, big, big deal. I had a guy call me one time with one of these .com companies that we'd been working with, and the .com company went broke. Now there's a shock. And before it went broke, they had just furnished this fabulous office with literally hundreds of these, well, probably a little less than 100 of these Steelcase brand, which is a top brand of office furniture, cubicles, and all these beautiful chairs and all the accessories all through this place, and a fabulous conference room, all done up, I mean, some serious wood stuff. I mean, gorgeous stuff, right? And he says, Dave, I just wrote a check for this. Nobody's even sat in these seats. And now we're turning around and we didn't get our funding from our venture capitalist and we're going to have to turn the key on it. I got to sell it. I said, man, I don't need all this stuff. I don't even have that many people working here. It won't even all fit in our office. He said, but you don't understand. I'm going to make somebody a deal. And I'm like, really? I don't need all this stuff. And he said, listen, don't make me an offer because you're going to own it. And I went, okay, I'm starting to need this stuff. So I sat down with our executive VPs, and there were only about 40 of us at that time working on our team. Now there's several hundred of us, right? But at that time I said, well, okay, guys, this guy says he gave me the tickets on it. It's $275,000 worth of furniture. That's a lot. And I said, at what price, guys, would we buy this? That if we didn't buy it at that price, we would feel stupid. Because we really don't need it. We're going to have to put it in storage until we grow enough to use it. Or we're going to have to try to sell it and make money on it. We're not in the furniture business, so we're not doing that. So what are we going to do here? And so we flew around, we all talked it out. Finally, I said, look, and one of the guys said, okay, we settled on a price, $23,500. And I said, he'll never take it, but at least if it's more than that, we don't want to pay for something we don't really need today much more than that, but it's a great buy. And so I called him up, and I really did have walkaway power because I really didn't care if he sold it to me or not because I didn't really need it. You see what I'm saying? At that time. If you visit our offices today, it's in there because he took $23,000. That's a deal. But I think a lot of that had to do with I didn't care. And it was all in my spirit. You know what I'm saying? He could feel that I didn't care. And I wasn't trying to beat the guy up. He's the one that said, make me an offer. I wasn't shopping for this, but he drew me in with price. Man, a lot of that was walkaway power. I've taught my wife, I've taught my kids this stuff, and we live this way as a family. And because my wife is a typical Southern belle, non-confrontational, will cut your throat. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bless your heart about the, you know what I'm saying? Bless your heart means a lot of things you don't want to know. I mean, and so, you know, but all this stuff to her feels like confrontation, all this negotiating stuff. And so we were kind of playing with it. I said, here's what you do, try this. And we were at the flea market, and she was looking for this iron bed that she was going to paint up, an antique bed thing, and put it in one of the kids' rooms. She had this plan, and we go down, and she's like, over there's the bed. Now, what do I do? That's the one I want. And I said, okay, here's what you do. Number one, don't get married to it. Maintain your walkaway power. And do these things. And just play with it. Just have fun with it. Here's some cash. Go over there and try to do it. I mean, the guy was asking like $20 for the bed or something. I don't know what. It wasn't much. I mean, I thought by the time she finished with the guy, he was going to pay her. I mean, she wore him out over that bed. And so she's all feeling like, hey, I got this stuff down. And we're walking down through there. And way down the aisle down there is the wicker patio furniture that we had been needing. She forgot everything she had just learned. And for 45 feet towards this wicker furniture, it looks like a woman running through a wheat field. Her body language, you know what I'm saying? The way she walked up to it said, you got me. And then she caught herself and stopped and said, oh no, I need a deal. And by now the guy's just grinning going, there's no deal happening here. We had to completely walk away from the furniture because there was no negotiation. Based on the way she walked up to it. You know what I'm talking about? This stuff, you have to maintain your emotional distance, your walkaway power in order to get a deal. Cell phone companies are very competitive with each other. So shop around, play them against each other. And the only reason you would sign a 2-year contract is because they're giving you the phone. And so if you write a check and buy the phone, then you can get a shorter contract. Or if you pay for part of the phone, you can get a shorter contract. But negotiate with them. There's no reason to sign up for 2-year deals, and there's certainly no reason to get caught up in things where they're asking for huge deposits, or where they're requiring you to go into debt somehow in order to get your cell phone. Stay away from those kinds of plans. The fourth one is shut up. You talk too much. You want to start negotiating over the orange. Shut up. Ask a question. Gather information. Shut up. Don't enter the fray too quickly. Somebody says, I'm offering $5,000 for this, just nod and smile. It's powerful, isn't it? Silence is something there's not much of in this culture. I mean, you don't have to be unpleasant. Just look at them, and they'll start looking around. They'll go, okay, I'll take $4,500. They'll start coming down on their price, and you haven't done anything but grin. The worst thing was I went on this used car lot one time. I was just out kicking around. I was having fun. Saturday morning, I'm out cruising around. I saw this little Jeep. And I thought, that little Jeep looks kind of cool. I pull up, and I get out of my car, and I'm looking at the Jeep. And I thought, I'm going to try this just to see how far you can take it. And it was really uncomfortable for me because I took it a little too far. I mean, because the guy's coming around, he comes out, bounding out of there, you know, he's talking. I mean, he's been in the coffee, you know, he can't shut up. And I'm just standing there looking. And he says, how you doing? And I said, never said a word. Just kind of, I acknowledged him, but I mean, I thought, I'm going to see what happens if I just say nothing. And I'm walking around it, and he says, yeah, we're asking $5,500, but the manager said for us to get some stuff, so I bet you I can get you a deal on this. I'll bet you I can get, I think I can probably, right now, I could go to $4,500. And I'm just standing there. And I'm walking around it. He goes, maybe, he said, if you want to put it on payments, he said, we can work that out. He said, I can do anything. He said, probably get you some different wheels. And I got a friend down at the tire store, and if you did a deal this morning, I bet you I could get you some big tires on it if you want to do a mudding thing on this Jeep. He said, I bet you I could. And he's just giving me stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just kind of grinning going. Finally, he says, I can tell a man like you knows what he's looking at with the car, and you can tell this car's been hit. If you'll just be quiet. I mean, it was an uncomfortably long silence. I was almost rude to the guy. But it was amazing. He just kept, you know? And price enters into that discussion too. And other things will enter into that discussion that you could negotiate for that would make the deal sweet to you. Price isn't the only thing that makes a deal sweet, is it? Sometimes color, quantity, sometimes delivery, other things make a deal sweet. So just learn to, it's okay. There's a dramatic pause when you shut up. Especially when you just ask the question like, is that price firm? And then don't say another word till they just keep, and if they ask a question, just kind of smile, nod, and don't answer it, and they'll just because people don't do conflict, and a lot of people view this process as a process of conflict, and they'll come down. Use the phrase, that's not good enough. That is a powerful phrase. If they say $5,000 for this car, you say, that's not good enough. They say $50,000 for that car, you say, that's not good enough. They say, we can do delivery by Friday. You say, that's not good enough. That phrase comes from an excellent negotiator, by the way, named Henry Kissinger. It's a phrase he has used a lot, according to his book, and a lot of multinational, international negotiating with diplomats. World-class negotiator. And when pages and when interns and when staff would bring a report in, put it on his desk, he'd say, that's not good enough. And they'd go back and work on it some more, and then bring it in again. He'd say, that's not good enough. And they'd come in all frustrated and say, that is all there is to know on this subject. He said, good, now that I have your best work, I'll read it. He sent them back out the door several times. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Very, very powerful phrase, especially if you say that and then you put it back with that last one, shut up. That's not good enough. Smile and be quiet. You're going to see some powerful, fun things happen. Now, this also can be used on you, so you need to be aware. That is a phrase you'll hear collectors use. If you're behind on your bills and you have a collector calling you, and no matter what you offer them, if you want to pay the full balance off on the spot, they'll come up with something and say, that's not good enough, we got to add fees. They will come up with something. I had one time, I had a car and a boat on one note with a certain bank when I was going broke. And a lady called me on a Thursday evening. I had a real estate closing scheduled a week later on the following Wednesday. I was going to make enough on that deal to bring it current. It was 2 months behind. And I said, just that. I have a real estate closing next Wednesday. From the proceeds of that, I will be able to bring it current. Until then, I can't do anything. And she said, that's not good enough. Well, I had been studying these collectors and collections techniques, and so I just, I knew that was in her script, and so I thought, well, let's try a little of this back. And I said, so? Well, that wasn't in her training. And so she just bounced off the walls, went crazy. We're going to come pick up the car. I said, you're going to pick up the car over 4 days discussion. We're talking about 3 business days here. If you want to pick up the car, I'll have the keys ready. What day would you like to get it? Would Friday be better for you or Monday? What? You're just going to... I said, lady, I can't manufacture money because you've learned a technique in your school that says that's not good enough. The money will be here Wednesday. If you want the car before then, you can come get it. I'll hook the boat up for you. Because, I owe you guys about like $9,000 more on the pair than they're worth. Come get the stupid thing. I'm tired of you. Well, Wednesday, I guess I said, well, maybe that's not good enough. So beware, because some of these techniques are being used on you. You got to watch for it. Here's one that's used on you all the time, the good guy, bad guy technique, isn't it? You see it on television, good cop, bad cop, right? And that's kind of one that's known, but if it's done very professionally, you have to be very careful. I've got to check with my manager. For years in the car business, they used a process called position selling that was taught. And position selling was the person out there selling can't do any of the negotiating. They have to go back and talk to the manager who's back there in the booth. They keep him chained there. He has one eye in the center of his head, 2 fangs coming out and foam everywhere. And he's please don't send me back to the manager again. He's going to kill me. They come up with all this drama process, and there's this mythical or real person back behind the curtain, and we have to go back and check with the other curtain. And the bad guy is just out of reach. And I'm the good guy. I'm on your team. I'm over here with you. It's us against them. No, it's not. And the way you neutralize that, and by the way, I don't recommend using that as a negotiating technique, unless it's very true, unless you really do have to check with someone, but I wouldn't set it up as a technique. But if it's being used on you, the way to neutralize it is just go, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I've made a mistake. I came in here to negotiate. I was ready to buy something. I made a mistake. I thought you were qualified to do the deal. Apparently you're not. I'm sorry for that. I'd be happy to make sure you get your commission. But what I need to do is we need to set a time when I can talk with your manager so that I'm able to do a deal, because I don't have a qualified appointment here. And go around them and pull the guy out of the back. And even if you're dealing with a collector, my supervisor won't accept that. You know who their supervisor is? It's the idiot in the cubicle next to him. And they swap off being each other's supervisor every other call. It's really what they do. Okay? It's a technique. My supervisor won't approve it. You don't have a supervisor. If you did, you wouldn't be acting the way you're acting. Let's talk to the supervisor. Great, I'm sorry I can't talk to you anymore because you don't have the ability to do this deal. And I'm walking away from this discussion. So the way you neutralize it is you circumvent them by going to the authority that's supposed to be the bad guy.